Episode of AWS Crowd Practitioner exam series. Let's dive straight into the questions. Question number 11, you can pause the video and read the question. It's a short question and highlight your requirement the way I've explained in my episode 1. I hope you read the question. In terms of requirement, then I guess we have a scenario here where how do we avoid accidental deletion or overwrites of objects in S3 buckets. And we have 4 options: lifecycle policy, object versioning, server-side encryption, and bucket ACL. Option C, server-side encryption. It is nothing to do with deletion. So that's the first option I would eliminate. Next one, bucket ACL. It's for access control, who can read, who can write, etc. But not, it can stop deletion if you don't have the right permission, but it won't allow you to undelete something that has been accidentally deleted. And then we have, so that's ruled out. Option D is ruled out. Option A, lifecycle policy. What this does is it allows you to automatic cleaning up of the objects, images based on the age. You can have a certain rule saying something that's older than 1 week, move it to say an archival storage, etc., etc. But that's not for again recovering anything that you have accidentally deleted. That leaves object versioning. Now, what does object versioning do? What does it do? Object versioning enabled bucket can help you recover object from accidental deletion and override. And exactly that's what you need. That's the question asking for. So the correct answer is object versioning, option B. That's your answer. Let's move to the next question. Another simple question, very short one. Please mark your keywords here. I hope you marked your keywords. So what was the requirement here and what's the problem? The problem is we want to increase the availability and reliability, and there are options given like how many AZs we should have: 1, 2, 3, 4. Now look at option 1, minimum of 1. If we have 1 AZ and if it goes down, you have no service, so 1 is not enough. And 4, which is option C and option D, they're talking about minimum more than 2 availability zone. Now that will give you high availability, even higher availability, but you don't need really anything more than 2. Your answer, in fact, in this question, there's no elimination required. You straight away know, you need minimum of 2 AZs to ensure high availability. So 1 AZ goes down, you have another AZ and the service is up, and your business continuity is ensured. So the answer is option B for question 12 for high availability. Question 13, it's similar sort of question on availability. So what are the keywords here? So what we want is we want infrastructure to be fault tolerant and ensure business continuity. So in order to ensure that, which part of AWS organization we should replicate, that's the key. In fact, you should highlight the replicate keyword as well for this question. So if we go one by one, option A, edge location, it gives you low content delivery. It's not necessarily for fault tolerance. It's a low latency content delivery. So that's ruled out. That doesn't appear to be the right one. Look at option D. That's another one that doesn't feel right to me. So Amazon Route 53, what does it do? It's your DNS routing application. It will you will type amazon.com and it will actually point it to the server which is being served by amazon.com. So it's a routing application. It's not related to fault tolerance. That leaves us with option B and C, and both, if you know the definition of AZs and region and what their purpose is, both of them provide high availability and they are for reliability and they'll provide fault tolerance. They both appear to be the right answers. However, the question is asking us, which part of the AWS architecture would you replicate? Now, region, it's very expensive to replicate. We are talking about a complete geographical region of a country that you are trying to replicate in order to ensure the availability. That's very expensive. However, if you replicate the availability zone, that's much more cost effective. And that's an exam tip for you that, whenever you are looking at any sort of answers and you have similar answers, and the requirements doesn't say anything about the cost to be, that you are not cost conscious, by default you have to select a cost effective solution. And we haven't come across many questions in Cloud Practitioner as of yet, but uh, you will see this theme repeated when you get to an associate level exam or questions. So yeah, question 13, the answer is option B, availability zone. That's what I would replicate if I want to, increase the fault tolerance of the solution. Let's move to the next one. Before that, I will put the links for all of this, and everywhere I've used AWS documentation. But yeah, this is just a snapshot, some documentation from AWS documentation around AZs in North America and regions. This is a listing of regions. Yep, you can go to the links in your own spare time. Let's move on to the next question. Question 14. Please read the question, highlight the keywords. You can pause the video if you like. So I hope you have read the question. So what we are looking at here is an RDS instance has been deployed across several availability zones. So which pillar of AWS well-architected framework is included in the strategy? So what strategy we're talking about? And it's fairly simple. We're talking about high availability, which means we are talking about reliability, fault tolerance. So it's definitely, the answer is option B. Performance efficiency is not something that we're looking at here. Neither it's cost optimization and nor it's security. It's pretty evident based on the keywords and the way question has been drafted. Its reliability is straightforward. So in this scenario, if an availability zone goes down where RDS instance has been installed or deployed, uh, the second AZ will come up where RDS instance is present, and you will ensure that the service runs smoothly. So that's your answer. Answer B for question number 14. Let's move to the next one. Question 15. So what does this say? So we have to select two in this case. What are the advantages of cloud? So we have got 5 options. And I think in this case, we would go by elimination. So let's start. So the first one, fixed monthly costs. No, I don't think so. Cloud costs are not fixed. They are variable based on your usage on pay-as-you-go basis. You pay for what you pay. You pay for what you use. That's ruled out. Let's look at D. That is another one, upfront capital expenditure. No, there's no upfront capital expenditure in case of cloud environment. If you're building an on-prem, then you're talking about, buying hardware upfront and, spending a lot of money while you're building your data center. In case of cloud, you are not, you are putting your requirements, you are selecting the services you need, but you'll be paying on a pay-as-you-go basis, an OpEx basis, operational expenditure. So option D is ruled out. Let's look at option E. That's another one. And in fact, that's the first one I would rule out. You do not get physical access to the cloud data centers. You don't even know where your, the servers that you are using are. That's the part of, keeping this data center secure. As a customer, AWS customer, you don't get access to data centers. So we ruled out 3, but it was not really necessary. B and C are the right answers. In case of cloud, you don't have to, guess the capacity requirement, because that's part of the scalability aspect of cloud, that, uh, you put your requirements, and based on your load, AWS will take care of scaling servers demands up and down based on what you need. Second C, increase speed of market. That's part of agility that you get out of AWS. Essentially, you don't have to, plan for any building of data centers, planning of designing of hardware, procuring, installing. None of that is required. You spin up your services, instances, EC2 servers, whatever you need, matter of minutes, and you get up and running. So you don't really, if you're running a business where you want to you want to get into market as soon as possible from a hardware infrastructure perspective, you don't have to worry if you're on cloud. You will have to obviously think about creating your business solution, your application, and you can focus on basically your business uh, management activities, and uh, rather than managing. You can leave the management of hardware to AWS and infrastructure to AWS. So that's the answer. Question 15 is option B and C, and you can refer AWS documentation for this. Uh, in fact, there is a link which talks about in a white paper on AWS Docs, advantages of cloud computing, and I've highlighted the two that we have just seen in that question. So yeah, that's question 15. Let's move on to the next question. Question 16. This is related to IAM, identity and access management entities. Let's highlight the keywords. So the keywords are, which entity is connected to access ID key and secret access key. Let's go one by one. IAM group is a collection of IAM users, and it's not related to access ID key or uh, access key ID or access key. So according to me, that's wrong. Let's move on to the next one that appears obviously wrong. So yeah, IAM role, it's a set of permission that can be attached to an IAM user. So it's not necessary. It's not related to uh, access key ID and secret access key. So that's ruled out. Third is IAM policy. Again, that's one I would rule out because it's basically a document that says, for all of the, it defines the relationship, all these entities of user group, and what rules are there. So it's not really something that relates to access key ID and secret access key. So that leaves us with option B, and essentially user is associated with a key ID and access key, and that is used to then uh, for authentication and getting access to the resources. So that's our answer. On option B is the answer for question number 16. Let's move on to the next question. Question number 17. Highlight your keywords. There's not a lot going on here anyway. So the keyword is what does AWS product and services enables business to monitor and classify their expenditure? I should have highlighted classify keyword as well. But yeah, those are your keyword. Essentially, what lets you monitor and classify the expenditure that you're doing. So you're on pay-as-you-go, you're using AWS services. How do you monitor your usage? Let's go one by one. Let me rule out, okay, option B. What does consolidated billing do? So it's like it come that's an concept coming from AWS organization. But when you consolidate the billings, you can combine multiple accounts from a billing perspective. You get a single bill, and that gives you ease of looking at one bill for the multiple AWS accounts within your organization. Uh, Easy for accounting, and you also get an advantage, volume discounts as well. So it's not, you don't get details that you need from this. So that's ruled out. AWS budgets, that is to keep your usage in check within certain limit. Again, that does not give you what we are needing in this particular question. Marketplace, that's the obvious wrong one in this whole set. Marketplace is like, your the way you have your Android Play Store, where you get third-party applications. So that's a place. AWS Marketplace is a similar place where you have applications from third parties where you can browse and buy and install. So B, C, D are wrong for me. Cost allocation tax, that's the right answer. And in fact, as you can see, when we were ruling out, the wording itself indicated that we are all leaning towards option A, cost allocation tax. Essentially, you can tag your resources and then use those tags to create reports and classify them. based on what expenditure is happening. So this is the best tool that you can have for classification and monitoring your expenditure at a detailed level. So that's the answer. Cost allocation tags, answer option A for question number 17. And if you go to AWS documentation, these are just the definition which would help you understand why we have ruled out Cost Explorer or AWS budgets, etc. Question number 18, let's move on to the next one. Yeah, please read this and highlight your keywords, or if there is a problem defined there, please you write that as well down. It's a very short question. Essentially, what we are talking about is, out of these four, which one, if you're using a Snowball Age, which activities are free at no cost? Now, we have an exam tip here, not just for Snowball, but anything in AWS. If you're transferring data from uh, into cloud, that's free, because that's what AWS wants. AWS wants you to use AWS services, and if they charge you for moving data in, people would not be encouraged to use that. So if you're moving data in the cloud, into the cloud from your on-prem or wherever it's coming from, it's all free. The reverse direction, it's chargeable. So if we look at in all of these, option C is the one which, the only one where that is where the data transfer is happening from outside cloud into the cloud. So you are using Snowball Age to put data into Amazon S3, and hence that's why that's the correct answer. The rest of the options are incorrect because they're not accurate, or they don't really make much sense. So it's free to transfer data from Snowball family into devices to S3. So that's the answer, and option C is your answer for question number 18. I have some documentation reference here, yeah, for Snowball pricing, just to kind of go precisely on exact details of cost of per usage, cost per data transfer. And you can see that data transfer into Amazon S3 says $0 per GB, which is essentially the translation of that rule that if you're moving data into Amazon, it's it's free. But otherwise, if you're moving it out, then there's cost involved, and there are various charges and rates based on which region, and how much data you're transferring out. All right, let's move to the next question. Question 19. We're looking at reliability here, and we need to select 2 answers from the given 5 options. All right, so let's go one by one. In case of reliability, using of monolithic architecture, obviously, that's not anything to do with reliability. In fact, if you are using monolithic architecture, you are creating single point failure point, and it's going to create more problems for you. So that's a no. Measuring overall efficiency, nah. Neither is adopting a consumption model. All of those options look pretty weird to me. So I'm ruling those out. Doesn't make much sense. Option C, testing recovery procedures. That is something I feel is related to reliability, where you are actually testing all the recovery procedures in case of your application fails, so that you can use those fallback procedures when needed. So that's obviously will reduce your recovery time and will increase your reliability. So that appears correct to me. Automatic recovery from failure, yeah, that appears right as well. So if you have failure, and if you're, instead of manual recovery, if you have automatic recovery, obviously that would mean that there's no manual intervention needed. Even if you don't have staffs around, the issue happens, system will recover automatically, and the time between the downtime of the system would be minimized as an effect, and reliability would be boosted. So yeah, those 2 appear to be correct answers. In fact, as part of, if you look up reliability design principles, then you would find these are the top 2 things in that section. I will put this link in the video description for you to reference. So yeah, those are the two answers. Let's move on to the last question of this video. I've highlighted, there's not much in this question anyway. We are talking about what do we have to view compliance control reports. But yeah, we'll go. I know you also know the answer, but we'll go one by one. We'll see what each of the option does. So we'll refer to AWS documentation, obviously, for all of this, and I'll give you the links in video description. What does AWS config does? It assesses, audits, and evaluates configuration of your resources. So it's not anything to do with compliance. It's mainly for version control and configuration control. So that's something we can easily rule out. Option B, also guard duty. It's for monitoring your services. It's like a security guard that you would have for guarding any resources that you have in physical or in information world. So that's ruled out as well. Trusted advisor is a service that provides recommendations. So based on whatever workload you're running, it would look at all the aspects and provide a recommendation of what you should do related to security, compliance, etc., etc. But it won't provide you any reports for your reference. That leaves us with the last option. In fact, AWS Artifact, the definition itself will tell you that it's a kind of repository for you to refer the compliance reports, and that's the question looking for. That's the question describing as a problem or looking for as an answer. So the correct answer is answer D, AWS Artifact, and if you go through the documentation of each of the service in AWS world, you would easily come to the correct answer. So that brings us to the end of this episode. I'll see you in the next episode, episode 3 of the series soon. If you like the content and want to get notified when I release the next episode on this series, then please subscribe to this channel. Your subscription will encourage me to create quality content on this topic. Thanks for watching.